We are
Hooray!
late as
Mhm.
normal, which is our what is it? What is it? Fashionable late.
Yeah,
If you've been here before and you're joining us again, thank you ever so much for joining us. If you haven't been here before, it's the paranormal, cryptid, whatever show with a difference. We are professional cryptid paranormal researchers, whatever show, and
oh,
oh, and are professional cryptid paranormal, and that's better. Um, that's better. Shut the other one off, and we also have a laugh. We know each other quite well. We all investigate together, whatever it may be, and we discuss anything that you want to talk about. Really, if you've got any suggestions, put them in the comment box on the whatever platform you're watching on, whether it's YouTube or whether you're on Facebook. If you are on Facebook on the groups, visit the link that I've put on there. Otherwise, it doesn't allow your name to be shown up. If not, just simply put your name beside it so we know who we're addressing because we don't want to be rude. We've got Paul Howard up the top there. He's host for Ghosts up in
beautiful
London,
Surrey.
beautiful Surrey. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
beautiful
got
Bernard.
we got V, who's a cryptid expert in Bristol area. As I say, we investigate. We talk about anything. Tonight, I mean, who wants to start off the show? I mean, anything that you two guys want to bring up, or
Um, I don't know really. I've been reading. I bought a book the weekend.
yeah?
I went to a psychic fair. Jen was doing readings, and
Oh,
Oh,
that's right. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
talking to a lady, really interesting lady as well. And ended up buying her book. It's called where are we? Past Life Healing.
oh,
Can you,
interesting.
Okay.
can you see that?
Now,
Mm.
now I'm interested.
Judy
Yeah,
Sharp. Yeah.
yeah,
And I was talking to her about past life regression and past life phobias and things like that. Really interesting lady. Really, really interesting. So I was talking to her and she said, well, what do you do? So I told her, she said, how interesting. Paranormal investigator. I said, yeah, there's a group of us, South Coast Ghosts, and we go around. We do a lot of investigations together as a big team with Paranation, and we're a massive team. We're a small team, but we're a massive team when we're together. She said, "Oh, how interesting!" And she said to me, "What do you know about past life?" And I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm intrigued by past life, and I am. It's something. It's a bit like when I uh, sort of studying that on time travel, because that really sort of one of my not specialities, but I love it. I love reading about time travel and all of
Mm.
this, and then past life regression and that sort of thing.
yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if that comes into the time travel side of past life. Do we travel through time? And I was saying to her, well, what do you do then? She said, well, I'm a teacher of past life healing. I said, well, what's that supposed to mean? So she said, well, in this life, what we here and now, lots of people have phobias: the fear of flying, the fear of spiders, the fear, lots of fears that we have in this life. And she said, what they do? She said, obviously, it's a lot more complicated. Try and find the root cause of your phobia. And generally, the root cause of your phobia is in a past life, and it's come
Yeah,
forward with you. Yeah. And she
Yeah.
said, what we do
yeah,
is try and take you back there and cure the phobia then. And that slowly will filter through into this life, and you'll become less phobic with flying and spiders. And I found that really interesting,
Yeah.
really interesting. So she said, I have a book here that tells you about it. And she said that, I've done a lot of study and spoken to a lot of people about their past lives. And, people say they remember certain villages that they've never been there before, but why would they know where they were? And they
Yeah.
would recognize, some distinctive house, some distinctive cross in a village that they've never ever been to as a child or anything. And I find it so interesting. And I bought her book. She was so interesting. And she was saying, like, what do you know about birthmarks? So I said, I thought birthmarks were where people died in a previous life. She's correct, because the birthmark is supposed to be the indication of where the trauma was on the body. The sword, the shot, the blood, where they leave big birthmarks. And that's supposed to be the trauma from a previous life. And I thought, oh my God. So I was really, really taken by her, but she was really, really interesting. Really interesting. I could have sat and talked to her all day about past life and stuff. I know you do that, Darren, don't you? But it was so.
Yes,
I'll bring the book along. So interesting.
Yeah, please do, mate. Please do, because that's what I really want to do next. I mean, saying I've done it, yes, I have done it, but I haven't yet done it to a willing subject, apart from myself.
Yeah.
And as you know, for a number of years, I've been a hypnotherapist and a comedy stage hypnotist, and I've practiced and so forth for a number of years now. And the way you get rid of a lot of fears and phobias out of people is you do regress them back. I haven't gone back past their childhood. It's like a bridge you're going to cross between the childhood and the past life. And there's two important things. You must regress them safely and professionally, and knowledgeably to do those two things. And when you cross the bridge, it's the same thing, but another step. And they don't know who they are then. So it's like glass slippers. Therefore, I've studied past life regression for about 6 years until now, and I have read and I have listened to so many audiobooks and articles and different scripts and different outcomes, and I've now got it, like I've done my my stage hypnosis. I'm almost there with the past life regression. It's unfair to, I was thinking it's unfair to sort of say, right, hey, Paul, let's try putting you under and see how we go.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do it to somebody else, you've got to be willing to do it to yourself. So I've done myself.
Do you think, just a quick question, do you think when people go into past life, when you bring them back around, do they remember where they've been? Or is it gone when they come back to this sort of earth plane?
Right, a good explanation for that is 90% of people under hypnotherapy, will remember 80% of what you've said to them throughout.
All right.
So believe it or not, you're not totally asleep. You're dozing. You're dozing. Here's Luke. Hi, Luke. Good to have you, mate.
Hi, Luke.
Right.
How you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm thank you.
And so basically, when the hypnotist goes to somebody like, and now you're going down, you're asleep and sleep and sleep. You are listening. Your subconscious remembers that. It remembers everything. So when you are brought around, yes, you'll remember it.
Right.
That is also part of the therapy as well, because you remember it's gone. It doesn't matter anymore.
So do you think they can cure phobias at that stage, Darren, when you're under? I
think greatly, yes. I think great. In past life regression, I think a huge yes. Without past life regression, I also think a huge yes. Just maybe not quite so huge. I'll give you an example. I had a lady who was in her 40s and just talking one day, and what do you do? I said, well, I'm technically a comedy stage hypnotist. I said, I've always wanted to entertain people and make them laugh. And she said, oh, fantastic. She says, can you put somebody under and fight? I said, no, that's a different thing. And we started talking of hypnotherapy. And it turned out that she had a fear of dogs. I mean, not just a fear, but she was absolutely terrified of dogs. I said, well, hypnotherapy, we can probably find out the reason for that and cure you. She said, I'd love to be able to just go up and stroke a dog. She said, but there's this mental block. I just see a dog and I'm in shock. I said, well, I said, how about, I said, we try and put you under and we see if we can help you. She says, that's fantastic. I'm willing to pay. I said, yeah, okay, no problem. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do you a deal. If I don't cure you, right, you don't pay me. If I cure you, and this was when I first started, and walked away with a telephone number going, my God, if I don't cure her,
Yeah.
not cock off here. And anyway, it took me about a fortnight to ring her. I said, I'm really sorry, I'm awfully busy. She went, all right, when can you get round? I said, well, when do you want me? She went, well, tomorrow morning. I said, fantastic. But maybe the afternoon's better because in the morning you're wide awake and whatever, so it's harder to put somebody under. And anyway, I went around in the afternoon and I tried a couple of suggestibility tests. She was quite a good subject. And I said, okay. I said, where's your comfiest place? She said, well, in the armchair. I said, okay, just sit there. And I said, right. Anyway, I took her back. Now, I hadn't been doing it for long, and it just amazes me at how strong hypnosis is and the human mind. And she turned around and I said, okay. I said, let's go back to when you were 30. All right. Let's have a look at a dog. Right. She went, no, it's terrifying. I said, let's go back to when you were 20. It's scary. It wasn't terrifying, it was scary. I said, okay. I said, let's take you back. I said, can you remember the first dog you saw? She said, yes, I can. She said, it's a Labrador. Right. It's a puppy. And it's just jumped at me and I'm 6 years old and it's terrified me. Right. I said, right, it was a puppy. Yes, it's my uncle's puppy. Right. Okay. So let's remember that. Right, let's take you to 10 years old. Let's look at the puppy now. What's it look like? He said, it's a bit smaller. That's right. Let's take you to 20 years of age, bringing her back on the ages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Went, she went, it's a cute little puppy. I said, can you imagine a bow in its hair? Can you shut the door, please? It was closed, yeah. I know it was, yeah. I know it was. And he said, it's cute. I said, okay, let's bring you back 30. Let's bring you back now. Let's have a look at that puppy in your mind. What does it actually look like? She said, it's a really cute little puppy. I said, well, why don't you bend down and pick it up? And in her mind's eye, she went down, she picked this puppy up and she cuddled it. She went, it's licking me, it's really cute. I don't want to put it down. I said, well, you are going to have to put it down. I said, but anyway, I brought her back and I went, how do you feel now? She went, well, I don't know. She said, I'm not terrified of the thought of meeting a dog again. But whether I'm cured or not, I said, well, look, I said, if you didn't cure me, I'm not really interested in the money. Anyway, I didn't see her for about 6 months and she came running over to me. She went, there you go, there's the money. And there's something on top. I said, what? She went, I'm completely cured. I said, no. She went, that's a nothing amount compared to what my dog food bill is. I went, what? She said, I've got 7 dogs. She went, me and my husband's always loved dogs. The only thing he didn't get on with me for was dog. She says, now we're rescuing and rehoring them. She said, the vet's telling me. She said, can you hypnotize me to save money? I said, no, I can't. So really, you'll find the fear or the phobia comes from when you're a child.
Yeah.
Or before you developed your conscious mind.
Yeah. And that's what she was saying, to go back beyond that. And if you can, it's like going back in a past life. If you can cure it in a past life, it will filter slowly through into the earth plane where it is now. And I thought, how interesting is that? Because I often think, I was maybe a soldier in the war, because some of the things I know about the war and the planes and the tanks and all these type of guns. I don't know. I don't study the war. I don't study tanks. I don't study. I could tell you have a V16, Deutz engine in a bloody Tiger tank. How would I know that? And I don't know. And sometimes I say, Jen, we're watching a war film or something, and say, "Oh, he's got this so and so rifle." She said, "Well, how do you know that?" Oh, well, I don't know. I just do. And I don't. And I've often wondered about being put back in past life, just to see whether I was something like that, because I seem to know things and I don't know how.
Remind me on Saturday,
Yeah,
and I'll see how suggestible you are.
I'm very suggestible.
That's what Jen says.
Oi.
Does your wife use that and say things like, "I suggest you make a cup of tea"?
No, I say that just to keep the peace. There she is, Dora the Explorer.
Hello.
Dora, you okay?
Yeah, good, thank you.
We've got
Nice to
V
see
on
you here.
Dora. You've not met Dora yet, have you, V? She's on South Coast Ghosts, and obviously
Hi,
V, which
Dora.
we're on now.
Hi.
Yeah, she's not here much. So.
Well, I'm working Mondays now in the evening.
Paul, remind me on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I will, before we start, I'll do a couple of tests on you and see how susceptible you are. And if you're quite susceptible, then we might do a session around your house, yeah. And then I'm hoping that after this event on Saturday, to have another deal with the lady that owns it.
Yeah.
And hire out the function room on a Saturday evening or whatever, and we do past life regression. And you can be one of my subjects. I think Luke's going to be the second one.
Yeah.
Can you make him talk?
Yeah.
We just record at home and let it listen to us later.
This is a good one. I have a stupid fear of glass, but never had an accident with glass. I take glass out of pictures, replace it with plastic. I would imagine this is from a female to start with.
Yeah.
It just comes up Facebook user, so if you can put your name next to it.
Just so we can address you by your name.
Yeah, this is probably a psychological thing as well. I can help you answer this. We all know that glass shatters. And if you've ever seen a broken car window or broken glass on the floor, we all know that could possibly. Oh, Sarah!
Hello, Sarah. Good evening, Sarah. But that could also be the fear of being cut, couldn't it?
Also, you're a mother, Sarah, so you are very protective.
Yeah.
Therefore, as it should be more of an instinct for a female than a male, because and this isn't sexist, whoever's watching this is not, but it's human instincts, yeah? You are protectors of your children. You've had it from a child. Well, in that case, it is probably something that is deep-rooted in your subconscious from a child that you don't actually remember. Or it could be past life. So we may be able to help you out on that. Obviously, we're going to see you Saturday anyway, and I'm trying to get Luke to come along. I know he's got a few problems, but I'm going to help him out, whatever. We'll get him along, and we can try a suggestibility on you, Sarah, along with Paul. I know Luke will go under really easy because I've already put him under.
Is that why you don't talk? You stopped him talking.
Yeah.
Sarah, right, on Saturday, us guys are doing the Bugle Hotel in Titchfield. and it's an absolute smashing location, right behind Tickfield Abbey. And I think that's Luke. And
I hope he's not bending over for me. I know.
definitely. And
Luke, there's always one, isn't there?
and it is so atmospheric. I mean, Dora's been over there, haven't you, Dora? You know,
Yeah, it's like you're driving into like I know Teachfield, but I never been before you took me. And I was like, what? It's just so tiny house. It's very, very old. And then it's that pub in the middle.
yeah, the hallway in the
Where-
middle. Yeah, from the bar to the function room, you've got a really long hallway. Now, this man has been seen there on different occasions by different staff, and people have even walked around him because they think he's a real person. He's that real, and he's since
Well,
been seen looking out of the window into the courtyard and everything.
Also, you got to remember, in the pubs in them days, they were everything, weren't they? A post office, a mortuary, a jail.
Yeah.
You know, they were numerous things, weren't they? Pubs
Well,
in
Sarah's
many years.
done yes, bring it along. Bring it along, and I'll have a look at it for you. Or private message me the model number, and
I did
yeah.
my one of them, took the filter up.
yeah, what Sony?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nothing like being
Fine. We starting up the production lines there, or what?
It's basically the thing that stops the infrared is a little red filter, and dependent on the camera make and model, it's either easy or hard to remove that red filter. Some of them, it's it's. I mean, I put Paul onto a make of action camera.
Yep.
What is it? 15-minute job, Paul?
Yeah, it was good. You gave me the instructions. I went off and did it, and it was fun. Works
15
every
minutes.
time. Yeah,
And
yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, I have got the big guns. I've got a grand's worth of 4K Panasonic, but I will bring that on Saturday as well. But being 100% honest, these things are so. Yeah, send me the numbers across. These things are just so easy. I mean, that cost me like 20 quid. Yeah, if I drop it and I break it, it's not the end of the world. It's fantastic footage I get out of that. It really is fantastic. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Paul?
Absolutely. You know the footage at Waverley Abbey of the shadow of the soldier walking across the fireplace.
Yep.
That was from a lock off.
That and a little.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Hammer like that.
I know it's. Yeah, I know it's quick across the screen when you see it. You know, it's around about 20 seconds. But I left it there. You could hear us walking off. I forget. I might have been with Luke as we walked off. I didn't think any more of it. Just left the camera going. Just put another IR on the side of it, just to light it a little bit more. It's a bit dark on the outer side of the lens. So I put an IR just to sort of open it up a little bit, give the lens a bit more view. And it wasn't until I played it back and I thought, what on earth is that? And the more I played it back, then I suddenly saw the shadow of what looks like a soldier walking across very quickly. But that's the camera, one of them, that caught that.
Well,
so fantastic.
I rest my case.
Yeah,
I mean, that little thing there that weighs a few grams, I just mount it on. Don't know where my tripod is. I think I put it back in my case. I've just got a little flexible Ulanzi tripod like that, and I can wrap it around bars and everything now. I've got a little IR on the top, which Paul's got one. I sent you the link. You got one.
Yeah.
And now I've also got my flat light. I sent you the link for on top of it as well. And I've got one. I basically use one power bank like that, and it goes up a 1 meter lead into a double USB, and it powers the IR and it powers the camera, and that there will give me 8 hours of power. Fits in the back pocket of the mobile phone.
That's it. Yeah.
It's also you can put this one. You can put your phone on top of it. There's a wireless as well.
Yeah, touch charger.
And it's a QC. If you want a QC, get the little green, see the green socket on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the QC charge one. And nice thing is they're all going to Ian's Gosling. Here he is. Look.
Hey, Luke G. There he is. It's Luke G. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. How are you guys?
Good. Yeah, survive it. Every day I wake up's a good day. That's what you've got to say.
Mate. Exactly that.
Every day above ground's a good day, man.
That's a good attitude. I like that. It's good. There's not a typically British one, is it? It's like Bill Bailey says, the Brits are the only bunch in the world that if you say, "How are you?" they go, "Oh, it's all right." It's not as bad as it could have been.
Or we're living.
Every day above ground's a good day, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, if you want to join us, Sarah, you're more than welcome. I mean, Luke can send you the link.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to come on to the show, you're more than welcome. Hopefully,
give me a minute.
Give him a minute.
Luke and Dora, we were talking about past life healing, as in past life regression.
Yep.
And I was talking to a really, really interesting lady at a psychic fair Saturday. Jen was at, and this is her book.
Bear with me. Sorry, I'm currently sending the link. All right. Yep.
And it's by this lady here.
Julie Sharp.
What an interesting lady. Absolutely. I could have sat there all day and talked to her, you know, because she said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a paranormal investigator." "Oh, how interesting." And she said, "Have you ever thought about past life and stuff?" And I thought, I have done, but never really done much with it. You know, I like to learn about like time travel and all that sort of thing, you know, about people that have supposedly gone through time and come back. And then I've sort of wondered whether past life regression is time travel. Is it that we've travelled forward in time? You know, I don't know. And this is the question we was asking Darren earlier, because he's done a lot more with past life stuff than anybody I know, that's for sure. But this lady was so interesting.
I was kind of having this discussion the other day because, without going into too much detail, one of my friends, her brother's just passed, and she said that when she went to go and see him, you know, as you do, she wasn't really kind of thinking too much, but she went into the morgue, and every time she would say something, the lights would flicker. And then she had a dream about dandelions being blown, but she didn't know why. And she's kind of like thinking along the lines of the dandelions.
Sarah, in a tarot pack, dandelions normally indicate dreams.
Yeah, so she had the dandelion dream of the dandelion blown, and kind of the bits that come off the dandelion going. So she's had her brother's name tattooed on her with the dandelions kind of going.
Oh, nice.
Nice. That it just came to her and in a dream, and she doesn't know why. And the
dandelions tend to be associated with dreams, and you know, and someone's blown, and they're blowing away. They're blowing their dreams out. You know, like we say, putting your dreams on the aura. You know, putting your dream out to the universe. You know, I want a red car, and I tried that once. And I kept saying, I want a red motorbike. I want a red motorbike. Because I was interested to see whether it worked. And it doesn't work straight away, but a year and a half later, I ended up buying a red motorbike. So, you know, it is sort of what you put out there is what you can get back, isn't it? And I mean, Darren will tell you that.
That's called the power of the universe, Paul.
Yeah. It's the law of attraction, isn't it?
Law of attraction, yeah.
Well,
The law of attraction.
the law of attraction and the power of the universe. Now, a very interesting thing is, if you think of it this way, okay, what we're made of atoms, yeah. Every chemical and everything in our body is made of atoms, yeah. The air around us is full of, if you've got a microscope and zoomed in, full of tiny little atoms in the atmosphere, yeah, little dust particles and so forth. Therefore, it is absolutely impossible for us not to be touching right at this moment. We are all connected somewhere along the line, yeah. No matter how near or far we are, our energy is a collective. Now, one you can try is to get yourself a parking space. If you're going to a certain car park, shopping centre, things like that you know, imagine, or put it into a petrol station. Here's one. How many times you pull in, and motorbikes don't count, by the way. You pull in, and your filler's on the right hand side, and everybody's on the left hand side pumps. And you think, God, you know, my car's a bit too wide, I can't get on there or whatever, but surely they could stretch the pump out. And you sit there and wait for it to clear off. Yeah, we've all done it. Imagine next time when you go and try this out. Really imagine strongly, get that vision of that petrol station in your mind, the logo, whether it's a Shell or a Tesco and Asda. Know you're going there, say, right, I'm on my way. I want that pump. Huh? And imagine that pump being free in your mind, and say, and that will show you the power of the universe, because it really does work.
Does it work? Getting the petrol for free?
I haven't done that yet. However, I have managed to get a free £20 note a couple of times.
You're a dodgy git, that's why.
It's called.
You printed them off, Darren. You're printing them off, I know.
Angela will vouch for me. Okay.
Copy and paste.
I went into the bank. I had £300 cash to pay in, and I'd previously seen when you do hypnosis, you're constantly trying it out. It's fun. Yeah, let's face it. Hypnosis is fun. Yeah. So you're constantly trying it out when you can actually do it. And I saw a thing on TV where it was a losing ticket. Devon Brown did it, yeah, a dog track.
Oh, yeah, at a gambling place. Yeah, I saw that.
You remember that, V? You remember that?
Brilliant. He said, that's the one you're looking for. And they paid him out, and it lost.
Yeah, can you check it again? Yeah. That is the winning ticket. She went, oh, I'm sorry, it's the winning ticket. There you go. And she paid him. Yeah. And I thought, that's fantastic. And I asked a few of my friends in the circle or whatever, and I said, and they went, 50-50. Don't know, it's a pattern interrupt and so forth. Anyway, for months, I was like, I've got to give this a go. Got to give it a go. So Angela herself went down to the bank in Commercial Road in Portsmouth, and I did correct this, by the way, for anyone that's watching. And I walked in, and I had £300 in cash to pay in £20 notes. And after I got to the counter for, here, this is Angela. She just commented. Right. But Angela's also got a strange mind. It works opposed as well, and she will tell you that she often thinks of a parking space on the left, and it will throw it up on the right. Is that right? She's got a mouthful. Anyway.
I thought you were talking to yourself then.
No, over there, not down here. Anyway, She's got a mouthful
So,
of
all
sausage.
That makes it even
You might
worse.
want to you might want to refrain that, Angela.
Is that why we can't see you?
Yeah,
No,
we're
I'm
all right.
just there.
Are you by the desk? Are you by that desk? Oh dear. We always get there in the end, don't we?
Steve, look, while the dog's lying down. Anyway, right. So anyway, we went into the said bank, and I did that last night as well. Look, I'm getting too good at this. Anyway, we went into the bank, and I don't know what made me do it, but I just decided that moment in time I was going to do it. So I've drawn the 300 quid out of my hand, and I've just taken £20 out and I stuck it in my pocket, and I went, "Oh yeah." She went, "All right." She went, "You paying money?" And I said, "Yeah. Put your card in, put your number in." She went, "Okay. How much is there?" I said, £300. She went, "Oh, what, have you counted it?" I said, yeah, it's £300. She went, "That's 280. I went, "No, it's 300. And she went, and as she was counting, I went, "It's 300. And she went, "Oh yeah, it is." And she put it in the till, and she tied it up, gave me the receipt, and I walked down and said to Angela, "No, I've still got 20 quid."
You're a bank robber.
Then I did it by mistake. And
Sure you
what was
did.
it?
Yeah.
I went into the garage.
You know what happened to Pinocchio?
You will give me the code to the safe.
Luke, why do you think you're skinny? Anyway.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Cheers for that.
Oh, is that where my Maxim's fees are going to?
It
Oh,
does
man.
work, but you have to time it absolutely perfection. Really perfection.
But then when you say it's the power of suggestion,
no, it's a pattern interrupt. I'm not going to tell anybody on here
No.
because it could be used. I'll tell you face to face, but I'm not going to put it on a live recording. I mean, it's against morally incorrect, and it's also against the law to share hypnosis induction. That's why when you look online, "Oh, let's see how to perform hypnosis," everybody goes, "Well, I don't need to go to classes. I can do it online." No, you can't. It's a completely different thing. Plus the fact that certain words which are really powerful. But the law of the universe, the law of attraction, is real. Try it next time. I mean, as Angela says here, it works. Her sister lives down a really narrow road. There's 2 cars per address at least. And oh, sorry, John's here. Sorry, John, I didn't see you pop up there. Evening, John.
Evening, John. The other interesting thing she says she was saying to me is, how much do you trust your instinct? So I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? She said, how much do you trust your instinct? How much do you trust your body? Well, I trust it enough to get me out of trouble if I'm in trouble, that sort of thing. And she said, here's a little experiment to try. When you go in a supermarket, in your head, guess which is behind you, male or female.
Mm-hmm.
Like an intuition.
And she said, see whether you're right. Because she said, you'll get it wrong 3 or 4 times. Then suddenly you'll start to get it right because it's about trusting your body to do the right thing. So a lot of people don't trust their body. It's the same as past life. A lot of people want to do it, but they don't trust going back because they're never sure what's going to happen. And she said, but once you're in connect and you trust your body, everything else falls into place. It's just that we don't trust ourselves 90% of the time. You know, and I said to her, when you're a paranormal investigator, you know, you can go in with thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment But the only thing that will get you out of trouble is this, your body. That's the only thing that will tell you whether to run, fight, or whatever. The machine won't tell you to run. It won't tell you to get out because something's going drastically wrong. Your body does.
Some machines.
When I'm in the supermarket, the machine keeps on at me. It keeps saying, "What? Oh, couldn't detect it in the baggage area." But, oh, and here's Simon in disguise. Evening, Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Yeah, Simon.
I think we know who Simon is.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, hurry up here because we're running out of places here. That's what I love about these Monday lives. How are you, John? You okay? You good? And talk of the devil is soon to appear. Look at this.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Daniel. Yay.
You right?
Here's trouble.
Daniel, I'm going to have to upgrade my plan, mate, because I've not got enough sleep for everybody.
10 people we got now. Wow.
Hello, Simon.
Yes, Simon.
Yeah. So she was saying, to trust your body is a massive thing. To trust your instincts. A lot of people don't trust their instincts, but she said, if you trust your instinct, she said, you'll be very surprised what you find. And, like we're saying on a paranormal investigation, this tells you whether to run, doesn't it? Whether something's not right. You get that feeling, you think, something's not right. Something is not right here. And no machine will tell you when it's not right. It might tell you to run, or it might give you a really creepy voice or something really scary, wouldn't it? But this tells you it's wrong.
Prime example, though, Paul. Me and you round the back of Waverley Abbey.
Oh, mate.
Me and you both just.
Do you want to rephrase that, mate? Do you want to rephrase that? Because it didn't sound very good, that
one. when we were there with the group and me and you were having a look at a couple of bits and you were showing me around Waverley Abbey. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, mate. That feeling we both got at the same time, didn't we?
Mate, yeah.
We didn't have a machine to tell us to run then, did we?
Not at all.
Yesterday we did a toy run, me and Luke.
Yeah.
And when we got there, the president of the motorcycle club turned around and he went, because it wasn't that cold yesterday. It was cold the day before, but it was like 10 degrees. He stopped everything. He went, God, he said, I'm going to go and take these thermals off. He says, anyway, Luke, he turns around and he goes, Luke, I'm just going to go in the toilet and take my thermals off. Do you want to come up with me? Yeah. He went, yeah, all right then. He was going.
Yeah, but then who's the one who came up behind me in the photo, Darren? I was crouching down so shorter people in the back could be seen. And what do I get next? The big Darren stood behind me, grabbing over my hips. So I'm like, oh, all right.
It's all right. I want to know if people realise that Santa crashed into the rear of the fire engine.
Did he?
Well, that's what it looked like on the video.
That guy, he owns a fire engine, and he gets it ready every year for Christmas. And he goes round to all the schools and fates and carnivals. And I think this year he's raised £55,000.
Bless him.
£55,000. Something like that, isn't it?
I believe it's something along those lines. I know.
A couple of years ago, it was 60 odd grand. He's dropped it to 55 grand this year. That's just amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
That's he works for Fire Rescue, but that's an ex-retired, obviously, fire engine.
Yeah.
He's got 4 fire engines, Darren.
Hmm?
Well, he needs to give one to me.
You should park it outside the fort.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. You got a good water
track, people.
Well, it'll help me empty out the moat when I want to sieve the moat out.
Could you imagine what's in there?
Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
How
I
interesting
planned
would
it
that be?
the summer that COVID hit, so I haven't done it.
Have you ever tried throwing a magnet in there like these people throw magnets into river?
I have got magnets, but then I've got something better. I have a nutty
grenade.
Scottish security guard from HQ1 who just walks in, grabs things, and pulls them out for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard a grenade's good. You throw a grenade in there, normally sorts it out.
Well, no, because then that'll destroy everything that's in there.
It blows most of it up in the air.
Well, I've got a Morris Minor door and a steering wheel, so I'm hoping to get the rest of it. I might be able to rebuild it.
Yeah. You never know what's in there. That'd be interesting. Very
But
interesting.
hopefully, if things go right, this summer coming, it's drain the moat and sieve it all out. Ammunitions are going to give me a cage so that if we do come across guns, grenades, whatever, they go in the cage. And I've made them sign it saying that they will disarm it and then give me back ready for the museum.
Oh, nice.
Because normally they just get rid of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, no.
No.
I want my
Especially-
goodies.
Yeah, especially if you find something really interesting, you don't want to lose it, do you?
Well, the guy that goes in pulled out a Victorian school bench,
Really?
which is, I don't know how it's managed to stay preserved so well, but you could, if you really wanted to, still sit on it. The wood is solid, but I don't let anyone sit on it, obviously. But
No,
yeah,
no.
you could.
Do you think that could have been protected by the silt?
The silt, and there's like oil in there and rotten leaves. There's all sorts in there.
Yeah, yeah. How interesting. How do you drain the moat though? Do you have gates to open or?
No, so the moat is kind of managed by the fishing group. And from what they've told me, they won't tell me where it is because they know that I'll pull it out just for a prank. But there's there's 2 plugs, and you pull the plug.
Oh, right.
So yeah, so the idea is they'll pull the plug, drain it to a certain level, because there's fish in the bit that they don't want the fish in. So me and my team will help them collect the fish, move them to where they want them. Then they'll drain it completely. Then me and my team can get on with sieving out everything, and they're going to cut the trees down that have actually started growing in the moat that we don't want in the moat.
Oh, interesting. Imagine how long that's going to take to sieve through all of that silt and all of that.
All that stinky stuff. But it's going to be great. Just imagine how many people are going to fall on their bum and get all muddy.
How many people are in the moat? That's what I'd be worried about.
One of what I know of.
How many?
I know of one person. Yeah. Someone's told me that they're in the moat, and I know where they are.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
What, drowned?
Oh yes.
Not necessarily drowned. I don't know. I don't know if they drowned or were murdered or what, but I know that there's one person waiting to be found.
That'd be very interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh hi,
hey, Katie.
That'll be somebody that's Daniel's, yeah.
It'll be
yes, right.
John.
Thanks.
Hi, welcome, Katie. Welcome to the group.
Hi, Katie.
Yeah. We know who you are now. We know who you are. Thanks so much. It really does mean a lot. I can't at the moment add anybody to the stream because I've only got 10 seats. So it keeps coming up. People are trying to join us. And I know whose fault it is.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Denial is the first time.
Not me.
Honestly, it was actually my dad, Darren. He's the one that bought it for me and gave me the link. So,
well, we'll just blame your dad then. He's not on here, so I don't know.
Daniel, I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah,
I know going on from last week, you had a very important meeting after the live.
Yeah.
Any more come from that you were able to share at all?
So after the meeting I had with like, okay, we kind of discussed what to go next with the eDNA, and we've kind of got to a point where I think we're all gonna head down to the forest, get drones up in the air, get trail cameras littered everywhere, and get as many boots on the ground to try and flush out the forest to see if anything's still there and any evidence that's yet to uncover. Now, it's taken me and my partner in crime probably 11 weeks to cover the whole forest. Now, that's probably 3 hours a day, and the forest is only 2 miles long. So it's not a huge forest, but yeah, I would say probably more investigating on the eDNA, because it's weird to have old world monkey DNA in the middle of the forest. You just don't get that.
No.
So yeah, I will keep you guys updated.
There's something in the woods. There's got to be something in the woods.
Yeah.
Because you don't get primate DNA in a woodland in Somerset without it. I mean, if you'd have dug down 20 feet, then maybe there was something there. But if you just scrape the 18-inch footprint that it came from, there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
So really, what Daniel's saying is we've got to get to the bottom of what is actually there. I mean, we're not saying it is definitely a Bigfoot.
No.
We're saying, I think everybody's got the wrong idea, because Daniel did up until recently have 4 Bigfoot signs behind him. Now he's only got 3, and they're slowly getting replaced.
Yeah, the other one got away.
I mean, it's a fantastic find to find what seems to be a footprint in the first place, and obviously primate DNA by a lab confirmed, who's also spent extra time on the DNA sample, because even they couldn't believe it. I mean, this is what
the scientist that was on the phone to Dad, and for a scientist to say this, who don't believe in Bigfoot at all, went, holy crap, this kid may have done it, may have actually found Bigfoot. And for a scientist to say that actually on the phone is like, you go,
huge, isn't it? Huge.
Yeah, and even you've been there, Darren, and when we came across that bone site, that was pretty big to find, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like not funny but funny, because they all headed in. By the way, I'm nothing to do with the bones. If Interpol's watching now,
stop.
Is it KFC?
They are not human bones. They are not human bones. They're deer bones. I can confirm that right now.
John's got something to say. Sorry, John.
Yeah, I didn't tell you the other day, Daniel, and I forgot to tell you as well, Darren, that I've set Guinevere, who's one of my people who is working on Daniel's book with him. I've set her on to phoning up every lab in Britain that does eDNA to find out who's the cheapest, and can I somehow do a deal with them.
That's amazing.
As cheap as possible and
oh my God, John,
free.
thank you. Yeah.
Daniel, have you got any more of the original sample that when you had it tested, it came up with the primate DNA?
I would have to check, John. I highly doubt it, but I would have to check.
Fingers crossed. What we need to do is to try and replicate that result with somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
And not tell somebody else what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if he comes up and says, "Oh, we found crocodile DNA on there," but doesn't mention old world primate, that then sets us off on a completely different
and
direction.
And John, there is another thing that I would consider sending. Is that scat we found? I really want to get that tested because I want to see is what made that, and because it's unknown, and it's really in it. I'm going, what is it?
Well, the important thing about scat is the scat itself won't have DNA in it, but it will almost certainly have cells from the inside of the colon of whatever creature it was that shitted out. So excreted out. Sorry. See, we can always make Daniel laugh by swearing.
No, you just swore you're going to make Daniel laugh again now. Oh, shit.
Yeah, you're doing all scientific talk for a minute, and then you say whatever shit it out, and then
You lost us at that bit there, John.
got a left jaw.
Whatever it is, there may be epithelial skin cells from the inside of the colon and the digestive tract. And that's what
interesting.
There's bound to be inside though, wouldn't it? Because even if there was a hard crust or something on the outside, on the inside, if it's still in a semi-decent state, then there is still bound to be something possibly inside.
That's true, yeah.
Of the inside of the sample, and this is where it gets difficult, is that has quite possibly got the DNA of whatever it was that the creature ate.
Yeah,
true.
And if the creature is an omnivore and eats all sorts of things, and I know there's a mate of mine who's doing a project on bears in the Czech Republic at the moment, it will have 3 or 4 different types of fruit, maybe mice, a dead bird, and all sorts of other things, and it's all going to be mishmashed together. So the thing to try and do is get the epithelial skin cells.
John, it's weird you say that. It's weird you say that because
what? I say something weird? Never.
You did say shit, John. That's weird.
No, I fucking well didn't.
Oh. Stop it! Right, there was a.
Sorry, go on.
There were bird bones not too far from the scat site. Now they've been covered over now, but there was one thing that I've been considering over the last.
What?
Leaves and just mud and just but there's been one thing that I've been considering over the last few days or so is Darren, you know, when we said that there's the deer carcass.
Yeah.
What if it wasn't a deer? Now
Yeah.
we found something like sheep wool next to it. What if it was that? What if it was a sheep there? Now I've literally just got off an interview for my podcast where they've said, if Bigfoot is open to opportunity, then this creature will go and eat whatever is nearest. And sheep are all over the hills. I mean, all over. So would it be out of the realm to say, easy food, got it, dragged into the just the trees, and has just eaten?
When Darren said that he'd found some bones, I was like quickly thinking about my Facebook ghost hunting buddies and if there was anybody that I hadn't heard from for a while.
Someone you don't like, Julia. Sorry, Simon.
Okay, so
we know your burial site now.
Gave the game up.
But when you think though, if it's an opportunist, okay, for sheep, then wouldn't you think you'd find lots of carcasses everywhere, or do they only feed so many months of the year?
Well, it's not necessarily though, because it's you got to remember like the decomposing state of things as well, and how long it's been there, and you know.
And
Now,
those, I mean, there's a dead sheep there, and whatever it has eaten 10% of it. The baggers, the foxes, the weasels, the stoats, the birds of prey will come up and eat the damn will eat most of the rest of it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And when there's been a lot of bones found in this area, and I showed Darren and Andrew and kids quite a lot, and we did find a good lot of bones. Now, does that remain the question of, is it a kill site? Do they use that as a feeding area for young, or because we've also found then the scat, we've also found possible tree structures. I can't say for definite, obviously, because but then there's just stuff that you start to link, and you start to, and there's been some odd smells there as well.
You sure that just wasn't your bum?
Or Darren?
Or Darren's?
Yeah.
No.
Luke can vouch for Darren's bum.
I can.
He's heard it.
No, or was it a door? Was it a door, Darren?
You got to ask Luke. Luke, was that a door opening in Waverley Abbey?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't.
Ask your mum. She's the expert.
Door. The Abbey, I think.
Was that a door?
What was that? Or was that Darren's bottom?
Yeah.
But
I love the
I will say,
personality of this group.
all joking aside, it smelled like cat wee, and I mean a very, very strong. And you had the main path, and when you went off it stank. Now I can say that I'm faster than my partner in crime, so I can get out of there. But
it's always good to have someone slower than you are, because if it all goes tits up, you know you're out. They're going to get first, so always make sure you get someone slow. So when I go ghost hunting with Darren, I always leave him behind. Because the time they finished him, I'll be a month away.
There are some British parts of as well.
Oh, sorry. I just think the only reason you wanted to take me was so you could tether my wheelchair up and I could be bait. Thank you, buddy.
I can imagine Daniel doing that as well. I think he's a bit like that, John, on The Secret.
Although, Paul, I might leave you there. I might tie you to a tree.
No good tying me to a tree, mate. I can escape from anything when I'm in a hurry.
So, not being too good at this side of things, if you get the scat to a scientist, will they also be able to say where the food that's in it has come from, so you'll know a radius?
Well, John would be the one to answer that.
Yeah, John would be the one for that.
Yes, but it depends what sort of scientist. If we're just sending it to a DNA laboratory and paying them 50 quid or whatever, they're going to say the thing that was most of. They're not going to go into any detail. If we can find a nice forensic lab, they'll tell you anything up to what day of the week it was and how old it is. Everything. Which makes me think another question for Daniel. Please, Daniel, when you're collecting these things, you do wear gloves, don't you?
Oh yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
all bones, all scalp, all hair is stored separately, and you do it wearing gloves and wipe your gloved hands off in between some.
Yeah, yeah. And
Suggest
John,
website.
I will be on it very, very soon. Now I'm a little bit hesitant going in to the forest beginning of January with big black bin bags, wrapping the bones up and walking out the forest because it looks like I've just committed murder. So I'm a
Just blame
little
that on Simon. Just blame that on Simon.
All right, then.
We know where
No.
we know where he
Or
hides his
you.
bones now.
Well,
Blame
take
Simon.
Darren with you. Ask him to hold the bags and do a runner.
And
Yeah.
make sure Daniel's fingerprints on everything.
Yeah.
Although I've got to be very, very careful because my dad's a police officer, so I got to play it very, very carefully. So Darren, if you can pick up the bones, buddy, and you can hold the black bin bag, we'll then make a run for it, and then you wait about 5 minutes.
I'll tell you what, Daniel. I'll tell you what. I'll do you a deal. If you can say sausages without cracking a smile or laughing, I'm in.
In what? In a black bag? You're in a black bag, you mean?
Yeah,
That I've got to see. Darren's
Right,
wearing a
hang on.
black bag.
This is Daniel's opportunity here. Where he is. Here he is. Look. Let's
He's
put
gone.
him on.
Where he is.
Right,
Look.
Daniel. No pressure, mate. But you now have
Oh,
to
dear.
say sausages. He has to
Oh,
say
dear.
sausages without laughing or smiling.
Okay,
Oh, dear.
give me 2
Oh.
secs.
2 secs.
Without
1,
your
2.
hands.
That's it, yeah.
Hold on then.
Sausages.
Sausages.
Oh, that's very good.
Oh, that was
Oh, Darren. Darren.
I think you've lost that one, Darren.
Yeah, you're
Oh
up,
shit,
mate.
he's doing it.
I think Darren's got to wear a black bin bag.
Hey,
There you go. No.
You got to remember, me and Darren are partners in crime. Let me, Dad. If it's not one, the other one will get you. That's interesting.
Right, quickly on that note, guys, I'm going to shoot off. So let somebody
Okay,
else
mate.
come in.
Nice
on
to see
my
you.
first.
So am I, guys. I'll speak to you all
Oh,
later.
right, that's
Really
it,
nice to
yeah,
see you
right.
all.
Yeah, take care. Nice to see you, Luke.
Nice to see you. See you later. Bye, guys.
Take care, bud.
I'm gonna go as well. Paul.
Right.
Hello.
Paul, I'll see you
do have
Wednesday.
a place if you want
Yeah,
to come
Wednesday,
on.
8 o'clock, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
Send me the link a little bit before, and then I'll come on before, and then.
Yeah, say I usually do it probably about 15 minutes before.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah. And I expect you'll be much better than Darren.
Well, at least you'll get a word in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't charge.
Darren was actually very, very good in his
He
interview.
was. I watched it. I watched it. It was very interesting. Very interesting.
Well done, Darren.
Angela was brilliant. I don't know about the other bloke, but Angela was all right. She did well. Bless her. I don't know who the photo bomber was in the front foreground, but Angela did well.
I don't know if Katie's still watching, but we do have a seat if you are watching, Katie.
I'm
See you later,
now.
Daniel.
Right,
See you Wednesday.
See, I got another meeting, Darren. Three meetings
Important
in a row.
people. Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, your new important friends. Yeah.
Yeah. The bake off.
Oh, no, it's finished.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're going to practice. That's what you're
No,
doing.
he's got Great British Bake Off on record, mate. That's what it is. He's going to see that. Right.
And Darren, I'm gonna ring you for a chat tomorrow if that's all right.
More than welcome, mate. More than welcome.
Yeah,
I'll be
cool.
around on and off most of the day, mate. I've got a car to take to the garage. And pick up open if it passes. Another couple of little bits and pieces. I should be around on and off all day, buddy. Yeah. So
Amazing.
You got
See you
my number.
later.
Thanks, guys.
See you later. Take care.
Thanks, Daniel. Bye.
What a great little kid, isn't he, John? Hey,
Oh,
I mean, 14 years old, guys. He is, yeah, and autistic.
Impressive, isn't he?
His parents are encouraging him in this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just so passionate about it, isn't he?
I was interested in this stuff when I was that age, and my parents just told me to go on my schoolwork and stop being stupid.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Well, that's what I say about people that, children, when they become adults, they start saying, "Oh, ghosts don't exist." It's because the parents have dumbed them down by saying, "Nah, ghosts don't exist. The closet monster doesn't exist. Go back to your bed and shut up." And no, there's nobody there. You're not talking to anybody. Your imaginary friend is just that. It's imaginary. And that brings me on to the thought we will probably never, ever know. But schizophrenics, are they all generally schizophrenic? Are they some more open than others? We're never going to know that, unfortunately.
Darren, Katie just messaged me. She said, "Give me 5 minutes, and then she'll pop back."
Oh, sound, mate. That's superb.
So
We've not met her before.
We'll have the Lake Champlain expert on. Brilliant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a world champ on. She's world expert on champ.
Right. Okay, that's Lake Champlain.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. She's got a few stories then.
She's the one that got the sonar images that looks a bit like a bit like a plesiosaur swimming.
Really?
Yeah, and loads of echolocation and stuff as well. Yeah.
Darren, did you notice what V did then? He hastily corrected himself. He was going to say that she was the world champ of champ. And
yes. Yeah. He knows me too well.
I've known him 35 years. So.
Again, V's a very, very knowledgeable person in his own field and whatever, and his opinions are valued on here. And he's valued from. No, seriously, mate. You're valued on here. I mean, you're quite open to the paranormal and the so forth, and the spiritual being, not just within a ghost. I'm a very spiritual person, and I have my own beliefs, and I have my own knowledge, and there's some things that when you get to a certain stage, you cannot share with other people. A good example of that was I was allowed to share something with Paul at Waverley Abbey a couple of months back, and I said to Paul, "Put your hand there," didn't I, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was told by somebody I was allowed to share that with Paul, and I shared it, and he had an out of the world experience he could see centuries before. And I'm not allowed to share it with everybody, and there's some spirits come through when I'm on location that I can't share that they're there. And this investigation that we've got on Saturday at the Bugle, I've got spirits coming round me now, and it's very hard for people to believe that I'm not a complete nutter if they don't understand the spirit world. I believe we are all spirit, and we have a soul, and we have a vessel that carries through life, which is our body. And I think some of our spirits have been here for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Some of us are newer spirits. And that's why sometimes when you meet somebody that's younger than yourself, you still sit up and you still feel they're older than you. That makes sense.
Darren?
Yeah?
Darren, is there somebody by your window? Behind you?
Is that your chair?
No, because I just see a door open and shut behind you.
No, there's no door behind me.
Did you see that, Simon?
No, sorry, I'm on my phone at the moment, so my eyesight is like not great.
Well, that cabinet to your left, where your books are,
There?
yeah. Is there a door on the end of it?
No.
Yeah, there is. Tell me there is, because I've just seen someone standing there. I thought it was one of the kids. Because I saw the door open and shut. Did anybody else see that behind him?
No, I didn't see it. No, I don't think so. No.
No.
I'm on my phone, so it's very tiny. I can barely see anything really, to be fair.
Oh, right. I saw what looked like a door open behind you at the end of that bookcase near the window and shut again.
That's my seat.
Yeah.
And that's the bookcase.
Wow, that's a lot.
Oh, my God.
But it must have been a couple of years ago. Darren was doing a live or something.
Yeah,
and
it was that
book
bookcase
actually
there.
came off. A book flew out of that bookcase, didn't it, Darren?
Yeah, it was here.
It just flew out, and I saw that. I actually saw that when
Right. The only door in I've got serving hatches here, which have the ambient light for my face.
Yeah.
Oh, it could have been Angela letting the dog out.
Is there a door there?
There is a door outside the window. The other side of that window. Amy, go and open the door again. See if we can recreate it.
I definitely saw a door open and then shut again, like a reflection, like a glass door on a cabinet open. I saw it over your shoulder.
Right, we've got a porch out here.
Must be a porch.
I'm going to wind that back later and have a look.
Can you see it?
Yeah. It wasn't like that. It's like, you know what it's like? Someone opening a glass door and you saw the reflection of the glass and then shut again. That's what I saw.
The only door in and out of the room is that door over there.
No, it was, as you were sitting there, it was on your left shoulder, quite a way back. That's what made me think there was one of the kids in there.
No.
we had something really weird happen this evening.
Did you?
Yeah, I had my friend Gary pop over, not for long, but he came over. We were all sitting in the lounge, and in my dining room, I've got like some spotlights, and we were all just sitting there chatting. And I was showing him my haunted doll that my friend Benji Bobs had gave to me at the ship, and all of a sudden, all the lights in my dining room all started flashing. And he looked and I looked, and we're like, I said, no one's near the switch. And we turned the switch on, turned it switch on, but it was definitely off, and all the lights started flashing. So whether this haunted doll is a haunted doll or not, I don't know.
I was going to say, do you think that's to do with the doll?
I don't know. It's never happened before, but all the lights started like flashing. You know, like when you've got a dimmer switch and the dimmer's not quite turned up. It was like that. But no one had turned the lights on. You have to press the light in to turn it on. It's like you have to. It's not like a switch. You have to like press them in. It's quite strange, really.
That was like the other night here. My neighbours, she texted me to come down and have a look at the video on the Ring doorbell. So it was the same one I've showed you, that where there's a knocking on the door. It's the same house, same bungalow. So she wound it back, and what you see is suddenly a man appear with a dog, walking a dog, right? And it walks across the camera, sort of like that, and then disappears. And when you zoom in on the picture, you can actually see the hedge and the bird bath and all the leaves behind him, through him. So, I don't know, was my answer. But you can actually see the hedge behind him as he walks past. So you see the bird bath, the different coloured leaves, all of that. So I don't know if anybody knows any more about them Ring doorbells, but you can actually see through this bloke, and he just suddenly appears and suddenly disappears. But I don't know whether it's a trick of the doorbell or what it is.
Because obviously in the night time it's only a small aperture, so it's going to be taking a longer exposure than it would in the daytime, obviously, because this light is got to keep open for longer to expose the sensor.
Yeah.
Therefore, it may be overlapping. It may be overlapping the images. I'm not saying it is. I'm just trying to put the logical way. It may be overlapping the images to the fact that where it's got like a quarter of a second exposure, but it's taking another quarter of a second exposure and putting them on top of each other, multi-layering. Because the way the iPhone and the Samsung do it now on the night portrait is they take about 100 photographs all at once and they layer it in. Here's Katie.
Hi, Katie. Welcome.
We finally got you on.
Hi guys, how are you?
Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
My sister from another mister.
Freezing cold, but we're fine, aren't we, guys?
Very cold.
Whereabouts are you, Katie?
I'm actually in Florida at the moment. I'm usually doing my research in the summer at Lake Champlain, but I'm here most of the time in Florida, enjoying the sunny weather and right now up on Lake Champlain, but in Vermont, New York, it's freezing cold. So I'm glad that I'm not there at the moment.
Nice.
What's the elevation then of Lake Champlain?
Elevation?
Yeah.
I believe the area where I lived in Ferrisburg, Vermont, I think it's around 2,000 feet.
So it's quite high up. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Like I'm in Florida now and stuff, and it's flat here. We don't have mountains down here, so it's quite different.
Are you down near the Keys then?
I'm actually in Central Florida. I'm in Skunk Ape territory.
Yeah.
So I'm right in the center.
Like?
Right now it's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
And what time of day is it?
Right now it's 4:28 p.m. So I have a 5-hour gap between
so
you guys.
You can't say you've really insulted us now. 80 degrees. Oh.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny because not last night, but a couple nights before, excuse me, it got down to like 38 degrees Fahrenheit, which it doesn't sound like it's cold, but for down here it is. And you didn't see, obviously, any geckos hanging out on the side of the house, because usually the geckos will be right behind me and they hang out right here and I talk to them at night and stuff. So they weren't out. They were hiding where it's warm somewhere, probably up in the ceiling somewhere above my back deck.
So what's your speciality then? What is it you do?
I study lake monsters, particularly Champ of Lake Champlain. Field research. I do tons of field research. I've got a research vessel. I've got the sonar equipment. I've got the hydrophone equipment. I've recorded echolocation in the lake. I've recorded sonar video and photos, and also video of these animals at the surface. Not the head and neck sightings that I like to get on video, but the bat coming up, and they've all been analyzed and stated authentic. So I've been extremely lucky with my research and what I've gotten in the past. I've been doing it over a decade, but the field research I started back in 2012. And when I was 7 years old, I got into Champ and Ogopogo and Nessie and various lake monsters around the world. But Champ, because of the Mansi photo taken in 1977, that piqued my interest. And my mom didn't bring me up to the lake at the time. I don't know if she was kind of cheap as far as that went. And so I'm glad she's not listening, because she'd give me hell right now. But I did get up here in 2012, and that's when I actually had my first sighting. And it was the strangest thing, because I'm here for literally 2 days and I see something out in the bay. Now, I didn't get that on video, but in 2014, I got the same exact movement, the same exact size. I actually looked at a sailboat in the scale for background, which is about 20 feet. I would say this animal is about 15 to 20 feet in length. So I'm glad that I got the video, because when I told people about my sighting, I was embarrassed to say anything, because I'm the type of person that if I say something that I've seen, I want to have it on video. I want to have that evidence. I'm always, how do I put it? I've always been kind of skeptical in nature, but with the paranormal, especially, I was a paranormal investigator for quite a number of years. And then in 2012, I stopped doing that because I had a lot of strange things happen and things follow me home. So I don't do the ghost hunting stuff anymore. So I stick to the live creature stuff.
Have you done anything in the Loch Ness in Scotland? Have you been to there? And
not yet, but we're planning on doing an expedition. I'm not sure if it's going to be June or what, because I just put in to renew my passport. But V is going to be part of that. We're going to go visit John. I want John to go, but we're going to get him out and about. I'm going to have to yank him by his ear to go with us.
Let us all know, because I'd love to, one, meet you, and two, see how you're doing this research, because I've visited Loch Ness quite a number of times. I used to live about 2 hours away from there, and I was a lot younger then and a lot more skint, and I basically lived off of £38 a week in the middle of nowhere, and I used to save up my money from week to week. And when I got to about £300, £250, I'd get the dog, put the dog in the car, and just fill the tank up and head off to anywhere. And I've spent quite a few nights round the country road of Loch Ness, sleeping in the car, and I have seen and felt some really weird experiences around Loch Ness.
Are you lighting a cigar?
No, I'm not doing that. Who's doing that? I've been behaving, V. Damn it.
Okay.
But I think when I took Angela about 8 years ago now, we stood on the banks of Loch Ness, and over the other side there was quite a long ripple appeared in the water, and at first it almost looked like a wave was washing to shore, but it's quite well out in the lake, and we observed it for about 10 minutes, and it did actually move along the lake or the loch. And then it became apparent that the wave wasn't really getting any closer or further away from the shore. And we both observed it. We both saw it, didn't we? And if only I'd have had a good enough phone camera 8 years ago to capture it, or, then I could show it to you on here. But it's like Bigfoot. There is so overwhelming evidence that this thing exists. Big cats in the wild, and these. I mean, you caught authentic pictures in Lake Champlain, so I believe, showing our evidence, and yet we're still doubting it exists. Of course, it exists.
Yeah,
of course, these things exist. It's just if people actually were allowed to know they existed, the same as aliens from other planets existed, they probably wouldn't even go outside their house, yet alone a dip in the lake again.
Yes.
But you do think that technology's got that much better now, Darren, that allows us to catch these type of phenomenon, isn't it? Because the equipment we use is so much better than 8 years, 10 years. If you're in a lake, now we could send a drone over the top to get an aerial photo looking down on the lake, where 8 years ago you wouldn't have been able to do that without a professional drone equipment. But now we can send a drone up to look down. So if we do see something in the water, there's nothing to stop you sending it up and over, is it? So the equipment and the technology we've got now is far superior than we've had any other time.
Paul, undoubtedly, and it's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
Katie's handicapped by the regulations there, though, because you're not allowed to deploy things like buoys or buoys, as they say in America. You're not allowed to deploy things like that with equipment on, and that would really help a lot, wouldn't it, Katie, if you could do that?
Why are you not allowed to deploy that then, John?
Because
or Katie?
it's illegal.
I've got to go, guys. I've got to
Okay,
go
V.
because Graham's going to put me to bed. If
Okay,
you're still talking if you're still talking when I'm upstairs and I've had my legs done, I've had my medicine, I'll give you a shout. I'll come
Okay.
back.
Thank you ever so much for
Thanks for
joining
coming in,
us,
John.
Thanks, mate.
Bye,
Thank you so
John.
much.
I'll
Really
give you a call. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
You take care, John.
Bye, bye.
So, Katie, why are you not allowed to put buoys out then with equipment on it? Or buoys, or whatever you call them.
Boys, it'd be fun to put boys out there. We could use them as experiment for bait. You know, we'll put
Yeah.
V out there.
You could put Darren out there. He'd be out there about a month.
Well, the local regulations there, it's, I guess, the reason why they don't want any buoys or buoys above the surface or anything like that. It's just obstruction of anybody getting their prop from their boat stuck into something like that from the mooring from the bottom. You can moor your boat out in Lake Champlain in certain areas, but you have to pay for it. And they have strict rules about stuff like that for safety regulations. But what I would like to do is have a way to put hydrophone buoys out to monitor for echolocation and other sounds like I've recorded 24/7. And I think that would be amazing. I've got so many friends that live on the lake, like have camps. And I've talked to them, like they're not really friends, they're acquaintances. And I've talked to them about putting out a hydrophone system round the clock. And one of the friends I have owns a marina where there's been a lot of sightings near the marina. And he was like, "Oh, sure, we can do that," and then never gets back to me. So I'm like, "What the heck? This could be really amazing to monitor for echolocation and ultra low frequency sounds, like I recorded in 2014. Well, since 2014."
Interesting. That's interesting. Have you thought about sending a drone?
How many times have you actually caught something then, Katie? That's.
God, let's see. I've got now I got to think because I've got quite a few things. 2014, the first thing that I caught was video of one at the service. I think it might have been two because I did have it analyzed for the Science Channel for a show called Strange Evidence. And the funny part was the gentleman that was the video analyst I was actually friends with, but we didn't talk all the time. But he was very, how do I put it? He had a skeptical side too, but he was also a champ researcher at the time. He passed away from cancer, unfortunately, since then. But yeah, it was sad. So he analyzed video for the show. And the funny part was at one point, he wasn't talking to me because he was friends with this, I could say the word idiot, right? This idiot that didn't like that I was getting evidence. And that guy kind of convinced him not to talk to me anymore. It was a big drama show, but it was,
I know what you mean.
Did talk.
I know what you mean.
So then he started talking to me, and then he apologized. He said, "I'm so sorry that I believed anything that he had told me," because he found out they were all lies. And I'm a straight shooter. I tell the way it is. Sometimes I have a big mouth with it, but I think it's important to put the truth out there and what really happens and stuff. But needless to say, he did analyze my video, and he had said that at first he thought it was around 15 feet in length, but then later on, he noticed that a seagull was flying over, and he slowed it down and used that for scale size. And he thinks it was much larger, up to around 40 feet. So I have a feeling it's very unusual to have a specimen in Lake Champlain of a champ animal that large. It's happened a couple of times, but he was convinced that it was probably two animals, which goes to show that the funny part was after that I got echolocation. I think it was, I'm trying to remember now. Dates kind of suck because it's like I've been doing this for so long, and my evidence stuff, I got to remember the dates. I had gotten echolocation that year for the first time, which was not far from that location. And then I'm trying to remember now, 2019, because I've gotten other videos of like strange disturbances, things like that, which to me is not evidence. It's just, it could be anything. It could be, I mean, the video that I have though is definitely not a standing wave like they talk about at Loch Ness. It's not a seiche, that sort of phenomenon. Because I honestly would sit every single day at the lake, and I would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the lake. I mean, I practically just lived sitting there watching, which really, it sounds like it's easy, but it wears you out mentally. And the heat, it's so damn hot that time of year. You're just like melting. So in 2019, I got my first sonar evidence. Every year I've gotten, pretty much every year, I have to look at my files. I've gotten echolocation sounds and ultra low frequency sounds. So that was like, I've been spoiled with it because it's like, all this stuff's been analyzed, and they're like, what the heck is going on here? Nobody can pinpoint. I mean, with the sounds, I've studied bioacoustics on my own, independent studies and stuff. And I've studied the sounds of fish and motors in the lake. And because you also have certain pipes in certain areas that are taking water from the lake and using it for drinking water. Because a lot of the drinking water up in that area comes from Lake Champlain, which is kind of gross because there's like millions of gallons of raw sewage getting into Lake Champlain every year. I don't understand how they're letting this happen. So
Yes.
then 2019, I got the sonar pictures twice. I went, it was August 5th. I got the first two things on the bottom. Now I said, well, because I'm a fisherman as well, I've been fishing my whole life, and I've used sonar many times for fishing. And when I looked at the bottom, I said, well, what the heck are those two things? Because we were out in 165 feet of water, and normally, I mean, you're gonna find. I even found remnants of shipwrecks that nobody knew were there as well. But when we saw that, I zoomed into the image and I was shocked because one of them's like really blurry, but the other one you can make out this horse-like head. It's not pareidolia because I had a sighting at one time of a head neck coming up, and I didn't get on video because the camera that I had, that was in 2014 also, was crap. I didn't bring that other camera with me that day. I had another camera. I don't like to tell people about that sighting because I didn't get on video, but I saw the shape of the head, the horse-like head, and these protuberances on top of the head, which, as you guys know, with the Nessie sightings, they talk about the horns on the top of Nessie's head.
Yeah.
And this has been such a huge factor in lake monsters around the world in these sightings, that they have these protuberances on top of the head. So sometimes in depictions in art, they will show them pointy like goat horns. And I'm like, that's weird. But this was like rounded little knob things on the top of their head. And I was like, what the hell? So I started looking into like all these reports around the world of the water horses, the kelpies, the hippocampus in Italy. There's just so many, even the Scandinavian ships had the same type of shape of head. The body and stuff with these webbed feet. That's one thing about the champ animals. I don't believe they're in our known fossil record because the shape of the body that I've gotten on the sonar, it would be 3 times. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Because in 2022, I got a video as well of one swimming underneath the freaking boat, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So, and before that, in 2019, I had gotten something 2 weeks later after I got that first sonar of these things on the bottom, and people are like, "Oh, they're logs." I said, "Okay, well, if they're logs, I'm going to go back to the same location and I'm going to see if the logs are still there." Well, guess what? The logs swam away. They were gone. And then going up the lake further, a little bit further than that, That's when I got the same shapes, the same size, in the same order. It was the larger one behind the smaller one. And I was like, what the hell? And you can see the bubbles, the trail of bubbles of the one in the front diving down. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. So it's crazy. And I'm like, why me? But I think the reason, and I will get into a little bit of the spiritual aspect, is that I think that these animals have like a protection around them, because the Native Americans said that the horned serpents, or the champ animals, were created by the creator to protect Lake Champlain. And only, and in Native American legends or stories, which they're not legends anymore now, now that we know that they're there with this stuff, is that they basically they were created to protect the lake, but only those who mean them no harm, they'll show themselves to. And I had good intention. And I think I wrote a protection law in New York State that was passed by New York legislature. So that was a victory in itself, because who's going to pass a law to protect a family of lake creatures in a 120-mile long lake? So that was really amazing.
Do you think that Loch Ness could be the same sort of species?
I do. I'm not, see, now I've never been to Loch Ness. I mean, I've done the armchair research and stuff like that. But a lot of the descriptions on land, a lot of descriptions of the horn-like protuberances on top of the head, the long neck, the way these animals are moving across roads, and these land sightings totally correlates what's been seen around Lake Champlain in the swamps, and also crossing roads.
Yeah, I think that if there are large creatures like the champs in Loch Ness, then I think that can only be the case if there are subterranean or subaquatic caves linking the lochs. I don't think that you could have a population of them all living in Loch Ness, sort of trapped and cut off from other places. But Katie is aware.
There are sightings in other lochs, mate. There are sightings in other lochs, so that's a good point. They're just not as famous as what Loch Ness is. Yeah.
But Katie came across a case where a couple of draft horses were drowned in one lake, and I don't know how long it was. Was it a week later they turned up in another lake?
It was something around that time. This is like 1900. They used to take the team horses and they go across the lake. They'd chop like big blocks out, because back then we didn't have refrigerators, obviously. So they would take these blocks of ice and use them to refrigerate their food. And that's where the horses would take them on like a sled type of thing across lakes. And that's what happened. They broke through. And I think it was a week or two later, because, you know, like I said, it was a newspaper report from that time. They broke through the ice, and V can finish the story because he's a good storyteller.
Well, essentially, they broke through the ice, and everyone went, "Oh shit, we've lost our horses," because they drowned. And then, what was it? A week or so later, they popped up in a completely different lake, which kind of proves that there must be a subaquatic link between those two lakes. And I've been suspecting for quite some time that there may be a similar thing going on with the Scottish lochs, because although you don't hear much about it, we do have volcanism, or we used to have volcanism in Scotland. In fact, Edinburgh Castle, that big conical mountain that it's built on, that is in fact the top of a volcano. And there's suspicions, there's very strong suspicions, and there's evidence to back up the idea that within Loch Ness, at one or 2 points, there may be hot thermal venting water coming up from volcanic springs. So that would open the idea that you might have lava tubes going between some of these locks.
So if you had lava going up in hot water, going up, traveling in a lake, would that bring minerals in that into the lake that they need to help them
Yes, it would bring minerals.
grow or feed or whatever they feed on, whether it's fish or whatever? They'd be looking for the mineral from the hot water springs, wouldn't they?
But the thing is that way back before the Ice Age, I mean, like with a lot of the lakes in America, a lot of these, all these locks up in Scotland, they were all scooped out by the glaciers. But before that, a long time before that, there was volcanism. There were volcanoes, and what happens is you could get like a lava stream burning its way through a softer material, and it makes this thing called a lava tube. And these things sort of go horizontally, and then after it all sort of solidifies, might take 1,000,000 years, but the sedimentary rock around that might be stronger than what's left of the lava tube. And so the lava tube gets washed out, and then you've got a subterranean cave.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Those might actually connect to the locks, and then that would then make a nonsense of the objection to the Loch Ness creature, that it's not really big enough or doesn't have enough food source for large animals, because they would effectively be traveling between the locks.
But that would also indicate why it's not often seen, isn't it? Because it's in different parts of the lake, or a different lake in a different area, because it can travel, and that's why people don't see it for periods of time. Maybe it moves from lake to lake as the food or the substance moves, so the creatures move and follow the food, you know. And that's why they're in one lake and they disappear for months, 6 months, a year, whatever, where they're feeding in another lake. Nobody sees them, and then they reappear again.
Yeah, and the other thing is that another thing why people poo-poo the idea of a large animal in Loch Ness is that, well, how would it get out and in again if it was going to the sea? It would have to go over the weir that's been built there and all that sort of stuff, and you'd see it. But if it's got lava tubes it can go through, it could be in any. I mean, because obviously it's not one creature, you've got to have a bunch of them. They could be in any lock at any time, really. And if they can get into places like Moray and other locks that are connected to relatively short rivers or estuaries into the sea, then they could actually be living in the sea around northwest Scotland, which is what I think is a lot of what's going on, and then coming into those locks and then finding their way into Loch Ness. And there is one loch, I'm not going to name it, that we're going to next year, because we're only going to Loch Ness for a short period, and Katie and Eric can only stay here for about a week. So we're going to, obviously they need to go and see Loch Ness, and she set something up there. She set up a thing there. But after that, we're going to another loch where I know there are giant eels, and we're going to try to film those. And that's going to be exciting for me.
Let me know when you go up, please, V, because I'd love to join you up there, mate, and that would be that's we're going up this year anyway, next year anyway.
Yeah, because that's considered. I mean, Jonathan thinks that's the most likely solution to the Loch Ness problem, is that it's giant eels, because there is this theory that sometimes, like 1 in a million eels, anguilla, the usual eels that you would catch in a river, one in a million of those is neuter. It has something wrong with it that means it can't reproduce, and so those eels, the theory is, those eels don't swim out to sea and go off to the Sargasso Sea to breed. They stay in the loch, and like lobsters, there may be no fundamental limit to the size that they can grow to, because lobsters have this weird thing about them that they produce lots of telomeres, and telomeres are the cells that repair damaged cells. So they, in effect, apart from growing in size, they don't age. It's damaged cells that make us look older, that give us saggy skin and damaged hair follicles and all that. It's because of accumulated cellular damage. But lobsters have these things called telomeres, which, I mean, we all have telomeres, but they produce lots of them, and they repair most of the physical damage that happens to their cells. And it's thought that you might get similar effects in these eels, so that they can grow giant if they're neuter eels. But I believe that it's likely that these giant eels that I've seen are not Anguilla anguilla, the scientifically known eels. I believe that they may be a different species that isn't known to science yet, which is actually giant by nature. That's
and
what
also,
I.
it's like if you've got fish. Say if you've got a fish tank at home, your fish will only grow as big as a fish tank. So
Yes.
if you've got like a massive area of water, there's no saying as to how big the eel or the fish is going to grow. It will grow as big as it possibly can grow.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it is possibly I believe it's possibly an eel, something like that, something along those lines. And especially like some of them, as you say, don't swim out to sea; they just stay hanging about. So my oldest goldfish lived until it was 21. I'm quite good with fish.
Wow. That's
very
old.
good with fish. Very good with fish.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time. I've got a goldfish here that I paid 25 cents for. And in the last 6 months, I can probably find some photographs of when I first got him, how tiny he was. And he's so big, and he's such a pig. He eats constantly. He steals the food from everybody. And I mean, I honestly think he's gonna get so big. I'm gonna have to put I have a little lake here in Florida behind my property, but I'm honestly thinking of doing like a koi pond, because he's getting massive. He's taking up so much room, and I'm like, oh my god, like how big is he gonna get? But he's a comet, and he's got a beautiful flowy tail. He's just absolutely gorgeous. To think I got him for that cheap. He's amazing.
I think maybe one day you'll eat your gourami.
Well, I'll tell you what, that gourami doesn't pick on anybody anymore, because now there's a pecking order in that tank, and Eric always wants to get new fish, and I'm like, dude, we're gonna overstock this tank, because we got some angelfish, and they were really, really tiny, and they're growing very fast, and I'm like, I just don't want to overstock it, you know.
Yeah, they get big, don't they?
There's a comment.
Should we answer Graham's question? Graham,
yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
He's saying, if there was a way from the loch to the sea, would there be sea fish in the loch? Well, most fish species, unless, obviously creatures in the salmonid family, like trout and salmon, and generally trout and salmon, they go through a transformation in order to be able to change from fresh water to salt, and from salt water to fresh. And the same is true with eels, but that most fish can't do that. There are a couple of dangerous ones that can, like bull sharks.
Bull sharks,
you can get bull sharks in the fresh water.
Absolutely, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and they will attack you on sight because they're vicious bastards. But for the main part, Graham, most fish aren't very interchangeable between saltwater and freshwater, unless there's a breeding cycle involved.
That's really interesting. Really, really interesting. I've got
Yeah,
another
I'm
one
really.
aren't they?
Go ahead.
from Graham to Katie again. You did put that up earlier, but yeah, we were in full. So, what your parents think for all these? Anyway, that's just Graham, isn't it? But I do like that question, Graham. And V, your answer is absolutely impeccable on that, mate. That's really knowledgeable. I
Do
have learned.
sorry,
No.
Darren. Do some of these sightings of these creatures are seen in the night? Are they seen more at night than they are during the day, or?
Katie can answer that better than I can, because most of my um, uh, water horse, or what we call in Gaelic, we call them the Chikoshk. And I have no idea how to spell that because I've never learnt my own ancestral language in that way. But I don't know how to spell Chikoshk, but I know how to, but I do know how to say it. But in Scotland, they're mainly seen in the daytime because most people are, even living in the countryside, are generally sort of urbanite cultured, and they go home and they watch Emmerdale Farm or Coronation Street or whatever of an evening, and they wouldn't be by the lot. But in America, in Katie's neck of the woods, there's a lot more outdoor culture because they're not as restricted by their government as we are.
Yeah, I just wondered if people camp out at night, Katie, in the woods, that they hear strange noises and creatures, or
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say one thing was really interesting when I started doing my research on Champ was that I started noticing a pattern of these nighttime sightings, these nocturnal, mostly nocturnal sightings. They are seen during the day more often because you got more people out there that can see. I mean, it's not like everybody carries a night vision camera with them. I mean, the lake gets so pitch black. Same in Loch Ness. I mean, the thing with Loch Ness that I found really interesting, even though I haven't been there yet, I do have a virtual reality headset. So I did go on that just to get like more of a live view of where we're gonna go. And V's giggling because there's a little funny little joke behind that. But
Yeah, yeah.
we'll talk about that in secret because we don't want anybody to know about it. But
Yeah, if you
we were.
if you stick
Oh,
about
go ahead.
after the show for about 10 minutes, we'll have another little chat before it ends, and that
Yeah.
won't be live, so you can talk then. But go
Okay.
for it.
So yeah, I put on the VR headset and like I went around Loch Ness, and it was so funny because I mean, there's just this big, main road that runs along Loch Ness, and nobody wants to ride their bicycle on it because it's dangerous as hell. I mean, it's so narrow. And we have a similar road in New York State on the New York side of Lake Champlain called Route 9N, and there's been tons of sightings. But the thing with that road is it's hard to stop because you're gonna get rammed into because there's no really place to pull over. I mean, at least at Loch Ness, you got a few pullover spots on that route, but at Lake Champlain on that side of the lake, there's really no place to pull over. So there's been a lot of sightings from the bridge that goes from Vermont to New York, and nobody can really pull over to take a picture or video or whatever. But what's interesting about the nocturnal sightings of the champ animals is that the oldest report that I ever heard of was back in the 1800s, and there was a General Barrett, and I think it was his family farm, where it's in Dresden, New York, which is very, very swampy. There's tons of swamps. I mean, there's over 300,000 acres of marshland around Lake Champlain. That's a big area. So what was interesting about this was in a really swampy area of the lake, and this I think it was the Barrett family. They were having really strange experiences of animals getting snatched from the shoreline, like sheep, and it's very similar to Loch Ness, where I don't know if I really believe in that so much. But what's really interesting was the one report that really got me into the nocturnal sightings was at nighttime they had heard some commotion, and they went out, and there was supposedly like this rocky ledge with like a cave, and one of the members went into the cave with a lantern, because that's all there was back then. We didn't have flashlights, and saw a pair of glowing eyes, tapetum lucidum, which is Latin for bright carpet. And that's present in mostly nocturnal animals. You know, you get that in crocodiles, alligators. There's even pinnipeds that do have
Badgers.
that as well. But I don't believe Champ is a pinniped or a cetacean of any sort, even though they can echolocate. But that's another kettle of fish. But that was the first nocturnal sighting of a Champ animal that I'd heard of. And then I started noticing, I started reading up and meeting locals that I had heard had seen stuff at night, and I noticed the same pattern of this eye shine when a light shined upon them, and this like reddish yellowish glow to their eyes, and that indicates, like I said, an animal that's mostly nocturnal, an animal that a deep sea animal that has a certain eyesight for dark water, which Lake Champlain's not very clear. It's not as dark as Loch Ness. Loch Ness has a ton of peat content. Lake Champlain does not. But the problem with Lake Champlain is that in the summertime it's so hot there, and you wouldn't think for Vermont, and everybody thinks of snow and all the ski resorts in Vermont, but in the summertime it gets brutal. And what's interesting about that is the water isn't as clear because you have blue green algae blooms, so the water is like extremely green. And then once the temperature goes down to about, I would say, probably about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, then it starts to clear up. And that's the winter time, the fall and the winter, and in a little bit of the spring. And then once spring hits, the water starts to get kind of funky again because the lake is turning. There's like a turning aspect. You have the turning aspect in the spring because all the fish are starting to really become active and going and feed near the shorelines. You get a lot of stirring up that's going on. So everything's getting all murky again, which sucks because the prime season to see these animals, really prime season, is from June until the end of September.
Does
July
it,
and
does
August are
the,
the best times, but I think the reason for that, I think these animals are ectothermic.
does the level of the lake drop during the summer, the height of summer?
Not always. This past summer, because of all the snow that they had, the lake was the highest it's ever been. There was floods. There was all kinds of stuff going on with that. And I'll tell you what, I did a Japanese documentary on Champ. I went out to film with them in September, and I put the underwater camera down, and then they asked me afterwards, like, can you upload the video and send it to us and stuff for the documentary? And I'm like, I told them right out when I was putting the camera down, I'm like, we're not going to see much because all the rainfall, all the snow melts, and everything's getting washed into the lake. And you got fertilizers from just in the general public that people are fertilizing their lawns. And once that stuff gets washed into the lake, it produces blue green algae blooms. It actually makes the blue green algae that's naturally there like totally morph into uncontrollable amounts where it's so poison that it's unsafe to go swimming, and it's unsafe to have dogs come near the water, because if I don't know what it is with dogs, but for some reason if they eat the blue-green algae blooms. Oh, my dog just decided to comment on that. Both of them. You guys be quiet.
Is that Jagger?
Both of them, Maverick and Jagger. Oh, you guys be quiet. But as soon as that, for some reason, it's extremely toxic to dogs. So
do you think the sea monsters or the creatures move out of the lake at that time when it becomes more hazardous in the water? Do you think they move to a different lake?
It is a possibility. I personally, with Lake Champlain in particular, and only because I've done so much field research there, I believe that I know that there's caves, because I've had friends that have scuba dove there, and I have scuba dove, but not in Lake Champlain, because it's just so eerie, because it's not that clear. I'll go to the Florida Keys and do it, but I'm not a big fan of doing that in Lake Champlain. But I believe that there are tunnels, very much like what V's talked. Him and I have talked about this stuff for quite some time, and I believe it's the same type of geological thing that's going on. But I don't know if they really go out of the lake in the wintertime, believing that they're ectothermic. I think they go into a torpor-like state, because when you have snapping turtles, which are native to Lake Champlain, and you also have amphibians, like just every type of frog, the green frog, all kinds of frogs and stuff that are in Lake Champlain. People are like, well, if there's a reptile or amphibian population in there, which I think it could be either or. I think I'm leaning more towards reptile. Those animals are there. They survive the winter every single year. So they go into a torpor-like state, and they originally thought that snapping turtles would just kind of hunker down the bottom or dig in the mud and all that stuff. But they actually did a study on snapping turtles in general, and I think they did a study on other types of turtles as well, and they did find out that they do move underneath the ice. It's just they're really slowed down, and they're really sluggish. And there have been some reports in the winter of weird giant shapes under the ice, and something breaking through the ice, or there was a really strange report of what sounded like a champ animal on top of the ice, and that was in like January, and that's very unusual. But what could be going on is that with the snapping turtle studies, using that as an example of a modern day that's still here, an ancient animal that's still here, is that they're pretty damn resilient. And temperature, it's like the alligators, like down here in Florida. They saw them on I think it was the Cape Fear River, and at one time they had a really bad cold snap where these alligators, they thought they were all going to die because of the cold, because all the whole river like froze, and the alligators, they didn't die, they just stuck their snouts out of the ice and froze right in with the ice, and as soon as the ice dissipated, they were back to normal again.
Interesting.
I mean, being an ancient species like that, they have to be extremely resilient, because they've seen thousands of years of our climate changing, temperature.
Yeah. And the climate's still changing now, isn't it? So their habitat is changing as quick as the climate, really, isn't it?
And I think that's why there's really no harm with the weather change, because I think it's just built into their DNA. I think that their ancestors that were way before them had already gone through all of that. I mean, that's why we have snapping turtles and alligators and crocodiles and ancient fish. We have bowfin, sturgeon, gar that go back 100 million years, and they're still in Lake Champlain. They're still there.
Interesting.
But
amazing.
When you think about the idea that things like crocodilians survived from the age of dinosaurs, and
amazing.
Quite a lot of these things did survive from the age of dinosaurs underwater, it does kind of open up the possibility that some of the larger creatures that people
Yeah.
think these things might be could potentially have survived long enough to descend into another species.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about that, V, real quick, before I forget, I just got thinking that and you and I talked about this some time back. Well, what I had found in doing I always call it ass research because I'm sitting on my R. Actually, I'm supposed to say arse because John always says that's wrong to say. I sound like a colonial.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he's colonial.
So we're doing my arse chair
Oh, he's
research.
back! He's back!
Oh no!
Hey, we're just talking about you. Go on, Katie.
Okay, all right. Well, oh crap! You scared me. I didn't see him on the thing. He must be in bed by now.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's really interesting about that is. Oh shoot, he is on. Oh crap! Sorry about that, John. I love you.
I love you too, you cheeky little. You cheeky little.
Listen, I'm your colonial little tortoise.
Tortoise.
You know that.
You are my. Quite nice for a colonial.
Oh, what's he like?
You're the best.
Katie, just a quick question. How long was you in the paranormal for?
Oh geez. Let's see. It was since I was like a little kid, I had like some really strange experiences happen to me growing up in a haunted house. I started out with this one particular house that my parents had moved into. I was probably not even a year old at the time, and it was extremely haunted. And I remember we were there until I was 6, and then I moved to my grandmother's. And what had happened was the whole time that that I was alive anyway, and everything, my mom and dad would hear all kinds of strange noises. My mom saw an apparition of a little girl. It's kind of a long story, but I was probably 4 when I had my first experience of the paranormal. And I was we had like a closing screen porch. And I was like, they put me back there. I don't know if I was too noisy or what, but they put me downstairs in this stupid porch. And I was in a playpen thing sleeping. I was like 4 years old. And I remember waking up and I could, I just started talking. I don't know. I was young. I think it was 2 or 4. I can't remember because I was too young back then. But I do remember this where I was in this playpen. I was sleeping and I woke up and there was 2 dark figures in front of the playpen. And I tried to like talk to them in baby talk because I don't think I could talk very well back then. And these things just stood there and I couldn't see a face. They looked like hooded type of entities. And when I tried to talk to them, I tried to talk to them several times and they didn't answer back. And I got totally freaking freaked out. And I was like, I started screaming. So my dad's running down the stairs in his white skivvies, his underwear. I remember I remember that much. I couldn't hear you guys for a minute. What was that?
Okay.
No, we were just listening to your story.
Okay. So he comes running down the stair. He comes running down the stairs, and this had happened probably at least 4 times, and in like probably like in a 3-month span, and I was freaked out. I was crying, and I was like, I don't want to be out there anymore. So they finally put me back up to my room that I was supposed to be in, and maybe I don't know how old I was at the time, but I was old enough to like be able to talk normal and ask my dad about it. He had said to me, he said, I remember he used to scream down in that room. What the hell was that about? And I told him what happened, and he was shocked because my parents had seen, my mom saw the apparition of this little girl, My dad never saw anything, but when him and her were in their room at night, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. They would hear footsteps, and they would hear like what they described as like the sound of plastic bags swishing around. And it was just a weird thing that would happen around the same time. And so that was how I kind of got into the paranormal. And then before we moved out, I remember looking out the window into my backyard, and I saw the reflection of my face in the window. And I didn't know anything about the ghost stuff because my parents didn't talk about it in front of me because they didn't want to scare me. They didn't want to say anything in front of me. I remember looking into the window, and I saw a reflection of a little girl right next to me. And I said, "Mommy, what's the angel? Who's the angel in the window?" And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Right here." I said, "There's an angel in the window." And she goes, "What does she look like?" I described the same little girl that she was seeing.
Wow.
And it was really creepy. And the funny part about where she saw this apparition every single time was right in front of the TV set in the living room. Well, the weird part was, before we moved also, my dad had gotten stuck in the driveway with his truck in the mud. So my mom was out there trying to dig him out. He obviously didn't have 4-wheel drive. It was an old Chevy pickup truck. And she was digging down, digging down. All of a sudden she hit a hollow. It sounded like a hollow piece of wood. And I'm like, what the heck? I think to this day, I wonder, because back in the 1700s, because this little girl had the clothing of a little girl during the colonial times, 1700s. She had the little white cap and the little white nightgown type of, it was like sleepwear, for 1700 era. And I often wonder, man, I wish I was old enough then. I would go out there and try to dig up what that hollow piece of wood was. It was a very strange place to live at the time. I still remember it. I have dreams of it to this day, even though I was so little. So that's when I got into that's how it happened to me with the paranormal. But then in 2009, I started doing some paranormal investigating. I had gotten EVPs. I've actually got some of them still on YouTube that I could share with you guys when I went to a former mental asylum. Class A EVP. So I've had a lot of weird things happen. And I think that people like us tend to, because we're more open. I think even with a biological species, which I think Champ is, even though I believe there's a little bit of spiritual thing around it, but I think that we're so open that this stuff just naturally comes to us. We have such a wider, it's almost like, with the skeptics, they've never had anything strange happen. They've never had any weird experiences. Yeah. And I think that's what kind of helped my mind to be open to this sort of thing. We can hear things that people,
because they're
other
too
people
scared
can't hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of people are too scared of it, so they just deny it.
Well, when you grow up with something like that, you're not scared. You get so damn used to it. You're like, oh, whatever. There's that thing I saw earlier.
I agree. I agree
so
with
then
you.
once you get into one, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I agree with you because I've had it all my life like you, and I started off at quite a famous place in Borley in Suffolk, which is the most haunted house in England. And I think as I grew up, I saw people that other people didn't see, and you just get so used to it. And then when you tell someone there's someone over there, they just disbelieve you anyway. Oh, don't be stupid, ghosts don't exist. So I know where you're coming from, 100%.
Well, it's really interesting too, because when I was doing my paranormal research, I can send you guys the videos because they're actually on YouTube. I was
if you could please, I was going to ask you that. If you could send us some links, that'd be superb. Of both the cryptid and the paranormal. That superb, Katie, really is.
I don't
I'll definitely send those.
I don't like to watch them because I love Katie, and when she's walking about and she gets creeped out, I'm like, oh, Katie, come out, Katie,
well,
because it's someone
well,
that
it's
you
funny.
love on the screen. You know, it's
It's
not
so
like
it's
watching
so
Most Haunted. Sorry, go on,
well,
love.
it's so weird because during the filming for these little mini paranormal documentaries that we did back then, it was really interesting because there was myself, my ex-boyfriend at the time, there was a couple. They were like 42 to like 55, and I was like 28. So I was the youngest one there. And what was interesting was they started to notice that I would pick up on things, and they're like, "You're creeping us out." Before we would get to a place, or we were driving around a place. There's one episode I will definitely share with you because it freaked me out. We're driving around. I started writing down names in a notebook, just names that were popping into my head, and we're driving around the cemetery before we went to do the filming for it. And then afterwards there was a church, a chapel that had the inside tombs. And so we went inside the building, and instantly I just felt like a million eyes were staring at me, especially in the basement of this building. So we go down the stairs, and there was like a bunch of names that I had written down that we found, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And they were, after that, they're like, "Instead of just being the case manager, you can be our team medium." And I'm like, I'm pretty good at picking up stuff, but the funny thing is, for myself, I don't always do. It's like I can do it for other people, but it's just, I wish I could know. If I wish I knew the lottery numbers, we'd be all set, wouldn't we?
Wouldn't it be
You know?
fantastic? That'd be just fantastic. Yeah. Well, I'm going to end the live stream here anyway, guys. Because obviously I know some people have got lives as well as the live stream. So I'm going to end the live.
Yeah. Good to
Thanks
speak to you all.
ever so
Nice to
much,
speak to you.
And you,
everyone.
Simon.
Hopefully I didn't talk too much.
Simon
I
needs
did
his
chatty
beauty sleep.
sometimes.
Well, I was just going to come to that because, Katie, it's been an absolutely pleasure to have you on. And an
It's
Yes,
great,
very
absolute,
and
well.
hopefully we'll catch up again, and I can tell you more about my
Definitely.
research and other things
Yeah,
I found.
definitely.
yeah, if you could come on back on, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Come
You
on,
know,
come on at any time.
you're
And next
always
Thank you.
time,
I appreciate that.
It's a
Katie,
pleasure to have you.
time,
You know that.
Katie,
Thank you. It was great meeting you guys.
next time, can you tell the story about how you got creeped out when things followed you home, and that's why you stopped and ended up going for
Oh,
lake crickets and
yeah,
stuff? Yeah, that's a good
the
story.
footsteps and the other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Look forward to hearing that one.
Yeah, I don't. Oh
Well,
yeah, there's a
that
lot
could be
more
the
to
next
it.
one. I
Yeah,
mean, we'd love
Okay.
to hear that if you're willing to put it across to us. Yeah.
Oh,
You know, perhaps we
absolutely.
could get you. You know, that's what
Love
we're after,
to.
isn't it? You know, we're
Yeah.
after all these interactions, guest speakers, things like that. And again, it goes back to when myself and Paul started. It's almost a year ago now.
yeah,
We were, we'd have died for this interaction and responses and so forth. And story.
absolutely.
It's absolutely superb. Same as when Jonathan comes on and and it just all comes together like tonight. And
Well,
I
all
don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
comes
really
under the
nice to have
supernatural, doesn't
an
it?
interactive chat with a lot of
Archie,
different
go
subjects
away.
because Archie behavior, Archie's on the phone.
Archie's at it again.
But it's nice to get everybody together.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
And then,
interesting to hear other people's story, like yourself. You know, different views from different investigators and different things that you do, because the paranormal is a very very small part of the supernatural, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah,
and that's what interests us.
it's also interesting to like what I always say really quickly is that, like, the conferences they have here in America, especially, It's always Bigfoot, 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 and it's always the same damn people.
Yeah.
It's always the same crap, and it's like, why can't we mix things? I want to have a conference down here in Florida, because down here, especially in the wintertime, people want to come to go to Disney and things like that. But it would be really interesting to have, I'll talk about Lake Monsters with Champ, and then my friend Dave Shealy does a skunk ape. And I got a friend who got abducted by aliens at one point that was on Unsolved Mysteries. I could have him come down. So it's nice to have a conference with multiple subjects instead of just Bigfoot.
Yeah,
And also internationally as well, isn't it? English speakers and that type of thing. Different people's views from different parts of the world, isn't it?
That's what
definitely.
Weird Weekend was all about, wasn't it,
Yeah.
John?
Yeah. Basically.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that was the brilliant thing about the conference that Daniel did, because it was just about everything under the one umbrella. That's the way it should be. And it also it brings us all together like this, all under the same umbrella. I didn't know John was that kinky that he wore a collar like that, but there you go.
John's morphed into a dog.
Very kinky.
Is that after 11 o'clock, John? You morph into a dog.
Pretty much.
I was just gonna say, I'm wondering, John, if I could attach my leash to your collar. Okay, I'll behave myself.
I was thinking the other way round, my dear.
You do know what they say, don't you? Right? They say that using a feather isn't kinky. It's when you use the whole duck it counts. But anyway.
Sorry.
Darren, you're a terrible human being.
I am absolutely disgusting, and I'm very proud of it.
Hi, Dora.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, my dear.
Katie from Florida.
Talk to you guys soon.
Bye, Katie. Thank you for coming on.
Bye. Take care.
So much for coming on. Please
Bye.
Going now, Katie. You're going
Bye.
now. All right. Hey, stay on Messenger, and I'll be with you in about 10 minutes.
Okay, V. Sounds good.
Cheers, sweetie. Bye.
Okay,
Ciao,
guys.
bye.
I'm going to sleep.
See you
but I'll
guys.
see you next time.
Jonathan.
Bye, John.
See you later, John. See you later, Jonathan. Take care.
Really good to
Well,
see
you're
you.
going now as well. Oh, he's gone.
And I'm going to end the live now, and I'm going to thank everybody for watching. It's been another fantastic night. Just haven't managed to get off, have we? It's just carries on. And
Mind blowing, isn't it? Mind blowing.
Well, what do you think of it, really?
Incredible, isn't it? Really, that these people give up their time to come on here and chat about their experiences and their expertise. It's incredible, isn't it? Going from when it was just me and you chatting about the paranormal, now it's sort of opened up to a massive audience, isn't it? And it's lovely to listen to different people's points and views from all over the world, really, now, isn't it? With the lady in Portugal and then Katie in Florida, Vera, Vera, sorry, yeah. It's incredible, isn't it, from where we started, Darren, to where it is now.
I think it's just like, I don't know whatever forces at play, but this is what we've been gifted, and it's an absolutely superb gift. And I just love it. I mean, Dora, a couple of years ago, Dora, you were living in a haunted home, calling me out. Now you're part of this. What do you think?
Everyone tells me, what's the point was of moving out of this house?
What do you think, Luke? Luke, what do you think? What's your point of view of this, Luke?
I think it's like the universe brings us all together. I reckon all the energy.
Very good point.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. Do you think it's growing though, Luke, from when when you and Dora first come on here to where we are now? How much do you think it's changed?
Yeah, quite a lot. We get different speakers now, and people from different countries. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Super. You know, super. Anyway, we're going to end the live stream here. Thanks ever so much for everybody watching us. V, Luke, Dora, Paul, and myself. Thank you ever so much, guys. And same time, same place next week. 8 o'clock every Monday. We do this for the love, pure love, and it's getting better and better. All I can imagine is what it's going to be like next year. Thanks, guys. If you want to come on,
Stay safe.
put them to us, and